So I have lost count of how many times in the last couple days I've heard the words computer vision and AI as a term. And I would like to introduce you to Joe Jensen. Joe is Vice President of IoT and General Manager of Retail, Banking, and Hospitality Education at Intel. Now, Joe and I are picking up where we left off. We sat on this stage last year and had this very conversation. And so for the next 20 minutes, we are going to revisit IoT and how AI and computer vision are revolutionizing retail. Sorry, not IoT. Excuse me. Now, Joe, I'm wondering what your take is on what's changed since you and I sat here last year.
For me, I think the thing that's changed, and I promise I won't name names, but I think that the tech industry can now step back and we can kind of tell a bit who the winners and losers are going to be coming out of this tectonic shift we have. Companies who have laid in the foundational work, the foundational changes in IT, in their inventory systems, and their back-end systems are well positioned. Companies who've succeeded in kind of integrating online and offline together are in a good position. And companies who are now just starting that journey, I think we're worried that they're at risk.
There's winners and losers in this, right? And I think you have an idea of the components that are present for somebody to succeed.
Yeah, I think that, I say this, I've said this for a few years now, I think that everybody likes to throw up, and one of the speakers in the last panel said that Amazon has really disrupted everything. And I think everybody likes to blame Amazon because it's easier to point at somebody and say it's their fault instead of your own. I think the reality is that consumers have radically changed their expectations. Consumers are impatient. Consumers are unwilling to accept out of stock. Consumers have an expectation for simplicity and ease. And I think that companies like Uber, Lyft, Amazon, these modern companies, they're looking and seeing these kind of friction points in the consumer space, and they're addressing them aggressively. And so I would say actually it's not that Amazon has wrecked retail, it's that Amazon has been better able and more nimble to meet these new expectations than most other retailers.
It has, and the retailers today that are succeeding, and we had a conversation earlier about how many stores have closed and been educated as to
I just jumped right on. She said 9,600 stores closed, and I said, and more open than closed.
And more open than closed. And there's a secret sauce inside, and I think some of that is the technology that is being embraced by those winning retailers. I believe we have a video that is going to be a little bit more illuminating on some of what Intel is doing inside to help facilitate this.
Technology. It's completely transforming how we shop, how we bank, how we travel, and how we learn. At Intel, we're committed to creating new opportunities that span industries like retail, banking, hospitality, and education. Welcome to a new world of possibilities enabled through innovations by Intel and our many industry-leading technology partners.
More of a little just to liven it up a bit. I think the key thing is if you look at the market and see how consumer behaviors are changing, we think the market is splitting into two sets of expectations. There are times when you want hyper-convenient. I want to eat, I'm hungry, I don't want to leave my house. How can I get food I want as fast as possible with zero friction? There's a lot of your lives like that. I needed a new pair of shoes for this trip. I didn't want to go out, I didn't want to go hunt store to store. I jumped online, I found out that I could have them overnighted, and I trusted that I was going to receive them, and so I did that instead of getting out of the house and driving around. There's other times when you want an amazing experience, and so we think the market is shifting into hyper-convenient, and a lot of the focus has been on convenient, staffless stores, all those kind of things. Amazon, I think, is chasing that hyper-convenient side. The other side is hyper-experience. And I think the attitude that we're getting from our primary market research is consumers' attitude is, if I'm going to leave my house, it better be worth it. And it's like, if I'm going to take the trouble to go to the mall, if I'm going to take the trouble to go to a store, it should be worth my trouble. And one of the things that we think harms that experience the most is you go to the store, you get up out of your house, you take the sweatpants off or whatever, and you head to the mall, and then you find something you like and it's out of stock. And boy, the out-of-stock thing is a killer. And we've been harping on this at Intel, I think, for 7 or 8 years. If you can't figure out what your inventory is and you can't make sure you've got the right inventory in place and you don't Today, so much demand is created for things that are out of stock. Apparel is really the tough place for this, right? You have something on an end cap, you have something on a mannequin, you're probably being paid to promote it, and all they have is a size 0 on the mannequin. You create demand, customers come in, they want it, they can't get it. Who here is happy when you see something you want to buy right now and they can ship it to your house for 1 or 2 day delivery? Anybody love that experience? Couple people. Most people, actually 60% of purchases in malls today in the West, so this is Europe and the US, are for things people didn't know they were going to buy when they went there. Instant gratification. One of these consumer expectations is instant gratification. We think at Intel that this, last mile or, the endless aisle kind of capabilities people are laying in is really a Band-Aid for poor inventory, and it's really a Band-Aid on the experience. Very few customers, when we survey customers, very few customers love the idea that, hey, they wanted this thing now, and that they're happy that they could get it delivered later. Now, if I need this dress shirt and I can get it delivered in time for my business trip, and I know exactly that I want that shirt, yeah, okay, that's good. But if I'm shopping and I see something I like, hey, there's a new sweater, looks really nice, I want that, and I can't walk out the store with it, a lot of people don't walk out the store. We saw one survey where 99% of the time where a shopper saw an out of stock, they went all the way through to an endless aisle and completed an endless aisle purchase. 99% of the people fell out. So only 1% of those customers who saw an out of stock converted to an end of aisle purchase.
And that hyper experiential part is so critical for retail today. And the shoes are a fun example because I have those shoes in the women's version that I went to the Allbirds store and bought because it was a great experience and a unique place to go. And they offered a version of them that were specific to that location in Chicago. You could only get that color, that style at that place, not online, but in the store. And so they really differentiated both their channels with a product that they developed likely based on user feedback and research they had done on the market.
Yeah, so the success rate for that product is really high. One, because it's an experiential thing. Two, they can data mine what sells in that market and they can better be informed on what people will like.
Yeah, and they knew their stock, they knew their inventory levels. They clearly told me they only have X number of these sizes left in the whole company, and here we go. Now, how are retailers using computer vision or any other technologies to sort of help with the inventory issues?
Yeah, one of the examples was on the video. Bossa Nova makes a robot system that goes up and down the aisle and scans the CPG goods to see what's in stock.
How many people have seen that? They're in Walmart stores right now. In mass, right?
Yeah, they're mass deployments in Walmart. It is not an inexpensive system. I don't know what Walmart's paying. I know the list price is, you could buy a really nice car for the cost of one of those robots. And there's a very, very clear ROI on that investment. We did some primary work with a very large company, retailer like that. And at the start of our project, 32% of the items in the hair care aisle, which is their highest profit aisle, were not on shelf. So you come in, you're looking for the Fresh Mint shampoo. Fresh Mint's not there. The shelf was full, got a whole bunch of Garden Fresh or whatever other scent, no Fresh Mint. Or I want the Fresh Mint medium size and there's no medium Fresh Mint. So 32% of the items that were supposed to be on the shelf were actually on the shelf. In the stock and inventory system, their system said they had a 5% out of stock problem. On the shelf, 32% availability problem. Now what does a customer see? Does the customer see a 5% problem or do they see a 32% problem? Your most profitable aisle in that chain, hair care, and they don't have the products on the shelf for the customer. How many times is the customer going to go to that store to buy that hair care product and be disappointed until they stop coming? And I don't care whether you're hyper convenient or chasing convenience, having that stock there is about convenience. If it's an experience, out of stock is not a good experience. And that inventory thing is such a root cause. Data from 2 or 3 years ago, $1.1 trillion a year of missed profit due to inventory inaccuracy in retail.
Yeah.
Trillion.
It's a huge problem, even for best-in-class retailers. One who shall not be named had great holiday sales this year, is considered a winning retailer in this market. And even then, their conference call and their earnings release, they highlighted a big out-of-stock problem, and analysts are dinging them for that. You have to get your inventory in order, and using robotics and computer vision and all of the tech in place to do that is pretty critical this year. I think we're going to see retailers make big investments there.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would say is if you've looked at robotics, you looked at automation, you looked at computer vision, 3, 4, 5, even 2 years ago, this technology is evolving so rapidly. Take a look again because every year it's dramatically better, dramatically improved.
We were talking a little bit about the shelves, right? And digital signage is something that's been around a long time in retail. Where is it today, and what's different and more useful about it for the retailers?
Yeah, the best-in-class retailers now are including cameras and computer vision with the screen so that they can actually tailor the ad to the audience in front of the screen. And so let me give you a compare and contrast. And I've used this if you've seen me before, but you walk into a department store, I walk by and there's a poster for prom dresses. It's unlikely I'm going to buy a prom dress. I'm older. If I have daughters, unlikely a male's going to buy the prom dress. Pretty much a wasted impression on me. You could put a digital screen there, and we know that people are 3 times more likely to look at a digital ad versus a static poster ad. The dwell is longer, so not only are you more likely to look if there's motion, but they dwell longer. So you can make that space more valuable. Well, now with the camera, you can tell that I'm a male. You can estimate my size. You can look at my color palette. And if you're really sophisticated, and we have some customers doing this today, you're also tied into your inventory system and you know what the store inventory is, and you can know what's in stock that would fit me, and you can pop that up on the screen, and you can create an impression and create demand for me for something you can sell me right now. That is where the technology is going to be. And the tech is there today. All the trials we do with retailers, the results are fantastic. Honestly, I'm kind of bewildered as to why people aren't scaling.
Yeah, I'm wondering that was going to be my next question. What's holding things back?
I think it was your session or another one last year where I talked about, I think part of the problem is Wall Street. There's a model P&L that retailers are expected to hit. And the model P&L is based on 50 years of retail history. It's not based on where retail is headed today. Online retailers, new brands that are primarily online, they have a different model P&L. Tech spending is different in those 2 categories, and I put a lot of the blame on Wall Street and needing to hit the analyst expectations, and if you spend outside the curve, you're going to get spanked.
Where are retailers spending?
I think most of the spending, for the ones who are in a good position, they've spent a lot of money on the fundamentals. Getting to a single truth of data, getting their systems really well integrated, getting positioned so that they can actually know what's in every store. The next step now is actually the inventory system so that they actually know what's in the store. Now, here's an example. I'm told that, and nobody here would admit it maybe, but that most retailers, anytime there's a gap between what is the distribution center says they shipped you and what you say is received in the store, you automatically assume that it's received in the store. Well, why? Because you don't want to say it's gone now, we'll say it's gone later. And so the inventory in the store and the system is always inflated. There's also many times where you need to bump the numbers for the quarter, so you might ship more from the DC into the store because of the DC it's valued less than it is in the store, so you shove some more stuff in the store. We've worked with, at this point, probably 50 deep projects with like 50 retailers. The best in class we've seen for SKU accuracy, so if you take the SKUs in the store, you count every one, the best one is under 70% of the SKUs are correctly counted. Best. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about a store like a Walmart, or you're talking about a giant big box retailer, people like IKEA. I mean, everybody has this problem. And how can you do omni-channel? How can you place an order? In fact, here's a great story. I was at Home Depot the other day, and the customer service lady is on the phone. Somebody's placed an online order for store pickup. And he's a really sophisticated shopper because he didn't want to wander around the store for an hour trying to find stuff, and some stuff would be out of stock. So he, on the phone, she had agreed that, we're not sure we can find all of it. We'll go find it all, and we'll call you when we've got it all. And she said, when she hung up, she's like, I'm sure the 2 or 3 things we can't find anywhere. But it's really smart. It's like, hey, why? Well, let's make Home Depot wander around for an hour finding all this stuff. Why should I wander around and try to find it? And so that inventory thing is a real problem because you can look online, and it says it's online. In fact, the thing will say there's 12 of them. The odds that there's 12 in the store, very, very low.
Yeah, I've done that quite a few times this year with home improvement stores, with accessing the online inventory, trying to find it, arriving, it's not there, and then doing the order online pickup in store so that I don't have to bother anymore.
Yeah.
And it's worked successfully, and I think it's really working for them as well. I know that the home improvement sector in particular has really benefited from this because it's bringing in customers that normally wouldn't stay in the store or even come to the store if they were forced to look.
We met with a retailer of premium electronics, home electronics products, and they have a safety stock of 3. And the target inventory for all of their premium products is 2. So a well-run store would have no more than 2. and that would show zero inventory to every online shopper. And they know from all the research that customers prefer to go online, research the product, select the product, set it for pickup in store, but when you go online, it says none of the stores in the city have the product, even though every store probably has 2. And again, it's that problem. Why do they have a safety stock of 3? They don't want to disappoint the customer, which is good. But then they can't sell to people who shop online and want to pick up in store because it looks like you're out of stock everywhere. So what do? I got to order it. Might as well order it from somebody who's going to overnight it to me for free. And so that customer moves on somewhere else.
What are you hearing from retailers about their big concerns? Are they asking you for solutions to problems?
It's interesting. I would say in the past year, business is good for retailers. And I think the worry has dropped.
Interesting.
And I think that there's less worry right now about what they're going to go do.
Is that a dangerous place to be?
I think it's a very dangerous place to be. I mean, it's despite what you might read in the news, things are about as good as they're ever going to be in the U.S. right now. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, at some point, the market's going to turn, and the retailers who aren't laying in that capability today, what are you going to do when it turns? I mean, it's a very dangerous place to be. We grew up under Andy Grove at Intel. I've been at Intel a long time, and he used to say all the time, wrote a book, only the paranoid survive. And so we tend to be very paranoid. But boy, the market's going to shift at some point. At 12 years of economic growth, it's going to turn. If you don't think it's good times now, buckle up.
So should we find ourselves in these seats again next year?
Probably.
What do you think is going to be the hot topic?
I think AI is going to be really profoundly changing. Semiconductors change everything about everybody's life really on the planet. AI is going to do the same thing. AI, I'm a little bit in the Elon Musk camp where I think it's potentially dangerous. And I think it's going to be so profoundly helpful that literally everything we do will be more efficient. Consumer expectations will be better met. You'll be able to optimize to what customers want. And if you're not watching it closely, you really should be. I think it's probably too early to go dive in headlong deep, but now you should be actually working and bringing in some expertise into your companies so that you have some foundational talent. If you don't have AI talent in your company, if you're going to outsource that, it's pretty dangerous. I think you really want some foundational capability in your company that's top notch.
Good advice to everyone. And speaking of AI, we have our next panel in the wings to come up and talk about AI. Thanks, Joe, very much.
Great.
Good
Thanks.
to have you back.
See you again.